Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. Before we get into the meat and soup of today's content, and it is definitely juicy, we have some insightful conversations that I held with three different CCs that are either under contractual agreement with Hoyoverse or a agency that's an extension of Hoyoverse. And those were some, like I said, some insightful conversations. I also have the full contract for the morons who doubted that we were saying this contract was real, which I want to vent about that real quickly. It is incredibly annoying when you have either a Hoyo cuck who has an unbelievable bias and Hoyo's 1-inch penis somehow is 13 inches long for these guys. They're choking on that shit. It's absolutely astounding. But there's no way to convince them of anything that may put Hoyoverse in a negative light, not because that's our intentions to sever a relationship with a company that can pay us well, but because it's the truth, most importantly. It's really frustrating dealing with these individuals, but it's also frustrating dealing with dumb fucks who think that because you're disagreeable, you're untrustworthy, when in reality, those are two very different things. I think these people are stains on humanity. Hot take, I do. Because this is the most toxic individual. The individual says, I don't trust this guy because he disagreed with me or he didn't have the same perspective that I had on the topic of conversation. There are people going around right now saying that me and Tectone are making up this contractual agreement. I want you to sit there and ponder on that for an example. Tectone's a part of a organization, bunch of millionaires in that motherfucker. Not only that, bro's running multiple businesses, multiple podcasts. He is incredibly busy, streams 4 hours a day. He doesn't have a lot of time. Me, I have a lifelong partner. I have a daughter. I run 2 businesses. I also have a lot of shit that I have to do. Meeting deadlines. I'm with an agency. I have sponsorships and stuff to take care of. I'm also talking to this camera right now, spending time as we speak. I have clients to train. Why the fuck on God's green earth would we sit here and mastermind plan a contractual agreement to plot and scheme on Zenless Zone Zero? Like, bro, what in the name? You just think about the sheer stupidity of this whole entire accusation. It's insane. But guess what? These people are so mentally ill that they have convinced themselves of that narrative. Not because we're not trustworthy, but because they don't like us. Now, I find a bit of humor in this situation with us being untrustworthy, me and Tech, right? The humor in this is if we were actually dishonest individuals, we'd be in their pockets. We'd be getting a bag, an extra bag. But because we're too based and too honest, we're not getting the extra bag. We're literally losing out on a bag for being honest. You dumb fuck. All right, I'm over it. Now, let's go ahead and move on. I had to get that off my chest. Let's go ahead and move on to the actual contract. Okay, so this is the contractual agreement, Zenless Zone Zero Content Creator, YCL, Cooperation Agreement. This is gonna be the agency that is the third-party group through Hoyoverse, working by extension. They're partnered with them, they're in bed with them, essentially. You can read through all that if you want to. I'm only gonna go over the important details. The responsibility of the content creator will be as follows. The content creator shall ensure that at least 30% of the videos on the channel after this contractual commencement date are Zenless Zone Zero themed. There's nothing wrong with this. This is actually incredibly normal. And if you're going to have a problem with this, then you need to have a problem with every other gaming company out there. This is standard. The content creator shall produce Zenless Zone Zero content regularly. Nothing wrong with that. However, the frequency of content creation will not be enforced if their channel is growing healthily. That's pretty nice. What that pretty much means, if you start kicking ass and getting more views and you're posting like 1 video now, because now that 1 video equates to the 3 videos you used to post in terms of performance. Of course, they're going to be like, yeah, do what you got to do. It doesn't have to be 30% now because you're still performing. So that's good. The content creator shall take necessary actions or follow the company's instructions to improve or adjust their content if their channel experience declines in growth or loss of followers. Again, very standard, makes perfect sense. We're not about to continue to allow you to decline in growth and still be on the payroll. That's business, period. The content creator is strictly prohibited from sharing or discussing confidential info as defined in Section 9 related to Zenless Zone Zero, commonly known as Zenless Zone Zero leaks. Case in point, don't discuss leaks. The content creator shall promptly notify Yamaholic if any other gaming brand, and oh, this is where we get to the juicy part, intends to sponsor their content. Yamaholic has full discretion to reject sponsorships that could be detrimental to Zenless Zone Zero or the content creator's reputation. This is the part where I told y'all I completely despise this. Fundamentally, no agency or gaming company should have the autonomy to decide whether you and the business that you fucking built and garnered with the community that you garnered, they should not have the autonomy to decide what you want to accept or in terms of a sponsorship. They also shouldn't be in control of what your viewers are allowed to see. I've already went over that. I'm not going to go over it again. This is really more so proven to the dumb fucks that thought this contract wasn't legitimate, that it is indeed legitimate. Let's move on. Now we're on page 2, and this page is actually very important because it shows a pay. And this is the page where I told y'all I took issue with A, B, and C because it didn't specify whether you're getting paid for those. But I now learned that you're getting paid for those, but in the worst way. And what I mean by that is they're bundling it in with a fee that should be separate from these. Now, look, there's people that accept this and you actually do get paid some money. You get paid. I'm not going to lie here. You do, but you're selling yourself short by not negotiating these variables. That's where I come from. So let's go back over it one more time. The content creator commits to engaging in minor promotional activities such as retweeting Zenless Zone Zero posts, sharing in-game screenshots, and so on for each Zenless Zone Zero update and important festival. Again, that's a price negotiable variable, but depending on the creator, some people don't trip on it. Like me all the time. In fact, just recently I had a company reach out to me saying, do you mind if you share this post free of charge? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I don't have no problem with that. Occasionally, the content creator may be requested to participate in major influencer campaigns by creating theme-specific videos, collaborating on creative projects, attending online events, etc. Again, this should be paid. This should be compensation separate from what you're already doing. Because here's the thing that people don't understand about this. Let's take a quick break. You're already doing them a massive marketing service by uploading content through this contractual agreement on your channel. Let's say you average 2 million views a month covering their game exclusively. That is a lot of marketing. There's a lot of eyes on their game. Plus you're retaining the audience as well to play that game. That's a fee. That is the fee. You know what I mean? So when they say, oh, we also want you to attend this online event, we also want you to do collaborative projects, we also want you to create this video, that should be separate. That should be a separate fee. But depending on the overall payment, maybe you're okay with that bundle. But then we're going to get into that as well, because now we have the other context, the pay. Okay, let's continue. Hoyoverse may use the content creator's videos for marketing purposes. This is the final thing again that I didn't have, that I was problematic about. These are very common things that are requested by companies and developers, but you are absolutely paid for these, an additional fee. It's additional price variable that can be negotiated. And they're bundling it in with the whole, with this whole little deal. It's basically they're trying to butter you up and say, yeah, we're going to pay you, but we're going to sneak all this little stuff in for this one fee. And then we're going to put a cap on that. And that is where I take problem in terms of maximizing what you should be getting paid as the creator. Do not sell yourself short. These can all be negotiated. Okay. The following documents shall be deemed form and be read and construed part of this agreement. Yeah, I'm just going to move on with this. Zenless Zone Zero content creator. We're going to move on to that. We don't need to look at any of that. Let's go ahead and say, oh, you know what? This is important. The term of validity. How long are we doing this for? Is divided into a probation period, so kind of like a testing period to see how things go, and the long-term formal period. 3 months is the long-term formal period. So every time 3 months is up, you reassess and see how things are going with this company. That is how I understand that. So this is actually really cool because you're not signing 4-year contract, and let's say you sign the 4-year contract, you don't like what you're getting paid. Well, you're stuck for 4 years at that particular point. They're saying you get a 1-month testing period, and then the long-term period is going to be every 3 months. So, I mean, that is great. That's really good for the creator. That means you're not committing to anything long. Anyways, right here it says after the probation period, the company will decide whether to enter a long-term formal period with the content creator according to the data of subscribers and views. Now let's talk payment. The payment will be made in accordance with the cost per 1,000 impressions of CPM after the monthly statistics of the number of views up to a maximum X amount of dollars. This was blurred out specifically to protect the creator in case they change the number around, which I'm sure they do. Depending on how big the size of your channel is, this number will change. If you're a smaller channel, maybe it's a cap of 3 grand. If you're a bigger channel, maybe it's a cap of 10 grand. If you're a really big channel, maybe it's a cap of 20 grand. Who knows? But that number fluctuates depending on the individual. Anyways, when I look at this, this is where I take issue with this up here. This is where it told me, oh, they're trying to bundle that in with this. Now, the CPM is the cost per 1,000 views that the advertiser pays on YouTube. RPM is what you're making as the YouTuber after you're split with YouTube. For Honkai Star Rail, my channel on average is about $4 per 1,000 views for Honkai Star Rail. So if I have a 50,000 view video, 50,000 views divided by 1,000 times the $4 amount, that's going to be a $200 paycheck for 50,000 views, right? Now it can, now I can go higher than that. This is just a general like explanation with regards to advertising, because if you're hitting more ads, you're going to be making more money. So it depends on how many ads are being hit as well. But general, that's what you're going to be expecting. Here's the thing though. They're paying based off of your CPM, which is what the advertiser pays, which is $10 for my channel. So that same 50,000 view, $10 times the same 50 is going to be now 200 plus 500, right? So now you're getting paid $700 with this contractual agreement. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, oh man, yeah, I'm making the big bucks now. Oh, don't get it twisted. That is good money for sure. Absolutely. And for some people, that's a bag that you're going to take because of your financial situation or whatever. It doesn't take away the fact that these up here are still all price negotiables that should be separate from this particular fee, because they're marketing your content across the globe. We're going to get to that part in a bit. How many people are you converting over to their game based off of that marketing that they're utilizing with your likeness to get people to play their game? If you're converting, I don't know, let's say they promote it to 8 million people and you converted 3,000 of them to download the game, and then 3,000 of them all spend $20. You get what I'm saying? There's a fee that should be attached to that. Now that's probably, I'm not, I pulled that out of my ass, but there's a fee that should be attached to that negotiation, especially considering that we're dealing with a company that makes like $500 million. That's coming off the top of my head, like $500 million a month. You get what I'm trying to say? So don't sell yourself short, and always be aware of these type of things. I think this is a bit problematic depending on who you are though. You'll be like, I don't care about A, I don't care about B, but C, or I don't care about A, I don't care about C, but B. It is up to the preference of the creator. But I'll tell you one thing, that first part, I stand by this. Nobody needs to say yes to E. The content creator should probably notify and give them the autonomy to decide what sponsors you can accept. Nobody should say yes to this. You all should be like, take that garbage out of the contract and then we're good. Okay, so there was some positive on this part. It says both parties have the right to terminate this agreement without cause, provided they give reasonable notification to the other party. That's fantastic. So not only can you sign like a short-term contract, you also have whenever you want to be like, all right, you know what? I ain't feeling this. Let's go ahead and call it quits. Putting in my 2 weeks on this contract. All right, put in a 2 weeks on the contract. Go ahead and get up out of there. In such an event, the company shall only pay the content creator for the work satisfactorily completed upon the date of termination. The company shall also cease any assistance previously provided to the content creator related to the video creation. So this is good. This is good for the company. It's good for you. Absolute W. But down here, I think I found some pretty interesting stuff. Number 9, the content creator shall retain all ownership rights to the original works produced under this agreement, including but not limited to pretty much everything you've done in that video. That's your shit. You own the rights to that. However, by entering into this agreement, the content creator grants each of the company and Hoyoverse a perpetual royalty-free, irrevocable, assignable, sublicensable license on a worldwide basis, global, to use, display, reproduce, distribute, and create derivative works based on the works in whole or in part. The content creator also grants each of the company and Hoyoverse a perpetual $3.99, let's just put it that way, irrevocable, assignable, sublicensable right on a worldwide basis to use and display their facial likeness, voice, and appearance, collectively, quote unquote, appearance containing in the works in whole or in part. So the content is yours, but it's also theirs. It's theirs to use to their discretion and to, whenever they want to use it, global, worldwide. This is another one. Again, this is pretty much your likeness, right? There's some people who don't take problems with this. Me personally, this is a business negotiable. You know what I mean? I only know this because I do a lot of these deals. And this is not stuff they can do unless you give the green light to do it for free, which you shouldn't, in my personal opinion. But by signing this, you are essentially saying you're going to do that for free, because the 1,000 CPM, like I said, or based off of your CPM, that is standard market rate that should be paid to you for just making videos, period, for any company. That's like fucking standard. But putting all this stuff grouped into a bundle, it's easily to get one hell of a bargain as a multi-billion-dollar company. And the typical person is just going to be like, yeah, because they want the money. So there's I think there's one more page possibly, but for the most part, we've covered the most important stuff. We've also proved that the contract is real to the dumb fucks that denied it. This is the final page for those of you who want to take a gander at it. But for the most part, what I did find is there wasn't a fee, like $100,000 fine or a $500,000 fine. I didn't find that anywhere in any of these pages. So you don't get hit with no hefty fee like you do with an NDA, which is another positive for the content creator. Overall, though, I think depending on who you are, that contract isn't that bad. But there's some things in there, you know, that I personally, if it were me, I'd be like, yeah, no, we got to negotiate this, and I need you to take that off. Now let's get into the conversations I had, because they're going to boil into that contract. I spoke with one individual who actually showed me a number of insights pertaining to his contractual agreement with Hoyoverse. Now, of course, all of these guys will be kept anonymous, and I don't need to explain why. If you think you need to be explained why, well, you just need to fucking inform yourself on these matters and the severity of them. But this guy he was just sharing his experience to help out with providing the truth, most importantly, on the situation. We're not trying to paint Hoyoverse in a bad light, or are we trying to paint him in a good light? We're trying to paint him in the right light. And he was saying that he's been getting paid well. He's loving his experience. What he provided, which was nice, is that his contract with a different agency has the same exact stipulation. We have the power here to decide whether you can accept sponsorships or not. He told me that they have the exact same stipulation, but they have yet to actually enforce it. And he's done a sponsorship for Wuthering Waves. He's done sponsorship for various other gacha games. Now, he said that they do seem to be concerned about Wuthering Waves. He did outright say that, but he basically said, I've been getting paid. I've been accepting sponsorships. They haven't rejected anything. And honestly, things have been pretty dang good. So that is a good testimony for you guys who are interested about this situation, to know that they don't necessarily enforce the shit that I have a problem with. That doesn't make it okay with me as well, because I just think it shouldn't be in the contract, period. But I do think that is worth mentioning to advocate that maybe it's not as harshly as it sounds. I know I'm like going back and forth. I'm trying my best to be fair here, though. Now, with regards to his pay, it was actually also similar pay, but higher price point depending on the amount of views that you're bringing in. There's a cap. Oh, I forgot to mention that. Yes, there is a cap to boil. I completely forgot about that. The other negative about that whole contract is there's a cap on how much money you can make within the month, depending on the size of your channel. So you can also run into a problem where you're hitting that cap, right? Or you're over hitting the cap. Let's say the cap is like, once you hit 500,000 views, the CPM is going to pay you $5,000. Let's say that's the number or whatever. If that is the number and you hit that number, well, if you start getting more views, you're still making $5,000, and you're still doing all that extra shit that's bundled in and still getting that same price point. Now, I'm sure they'll probably raise it to a different cap, but the point of the matter is, the cap is set for them to get a bargain on you to do more work than they would have to pay for if they were to go through people who aren't covering their game exclusively. So it is, at the end of the day, giving themselves a bargain, and you should still be aware of that. But the next conversation I had with another gentleman who's been working with them for a couple of years, he said none of his contracts ever had that in them. Now, this is interesting because now we're dealing with a split in experiences, which goes to tell me that is now an agency issue if there's a split, because the agencies are writing their contracts differently, which I think is still a Hoyoverse issue, because if I am contracting agencies or partnering with agencies to find creators to market my game, I'm going to have them sign a contract written by my lawyers to get everyone on the exact same page so that there's no confusion whatsoever. I will say though, maybe that can get tricky because now you're stepping on the toes with regards to how the agency runs their business. So I don't know, that shit gets fascinating, but he said he's never ran into that line where it says they decide what sponsorships he can accept or reject. And then the final individual, this one was crazy to me. Because this individual is living life on the edge. I can't even like give you information on him because like it's easy to tie back to him. Here's what I'm gonna say. What I learned from this individual is that you could potentially be blacklisted by Hoyoverse, right? This shit is crazy. You could potentially be blacklisted by Hoyoverse and still get paid by Hoyoverse. What? How the hell's that work, Jay? What? Wait, what? What the fascinating thing about this is the agencies that are employed by Hoyoverse are hiring creators. I guess unbeknownst to Hoyo. I don't know how that's working, but unbeknownst to Hoyo, that are blacklisted by Hoyo because they're covering leaks. But because Hoyo doesn't police the agencies and the agencies don't do their due diligence on what the creator is making, the agency doesn't know the person's covering leaks. And Hoyo doesn't know the person's covering leaks because they don't check the agency. So theoretically, if you get with the right agency, apparently you still get paid for doing something that they actually have a problem with. That shit is wild. That's the only thing I can say about that situation. Yeah, I have to be careful here. I have a reputation of trust amongst these guys, and I'm not trying to rat anybody out. I'm merely explaining these situations because they're truthful. I'm learning CoffeeZilla and what he deals with and the pros and cons of his job as the YouTube #1 detective. It's like you discover these truths, you learn these truths, but now you have to also protect the anonymity and the privacy of the people that are telling you them because you don't want to fuck their livelihood. You also don't want to like give them away. So it's like, I'm like maneuvering, dog, trying to like give this information out as best as I can. It's a very interesting conversation. Overall, I think what I learned here is that there is a possibility that some of these agencies are doing things that Hoyoverse may not necessarily agree with, but they're not aware of it. But what I hate about that is it's a convenient argument for Hoyoverse. It's a convenient argument because like basically if shit hits the fan, all the blame falls on the agency and none of it falls on Hoyoverse. And I think that's just a little bit too convenient. In fact, if I were a conspiracy theorist, I would say that it's done that way intentionally for them to market their game with leaks without them being held responsible for it. Should it trace back to the culprit, to the original person? It's going to trace back to the agency. And then they're going to be like, well, hell, we didn't even know they were doing that. That'd be one hell of a conspiracy now, wouldn't it? I don't know. I have no idea. It's weird how the things are being ran. I learned a lot. Like I said, I learned a great deal from these people, but that's it. That's going to wrap up my video. Hopefully you guys learned a good deal of stuff today. And yeah, peace.